On this show, I investigate your English mysteries. Now, if you'd like me to answer your questions, there are several ways we can do this. First, during the week, you can contact me on social media and submit your questions then, and I'll answer it on the show Fridays. Another way is you can email me a 30-second or 1-minute video clip, and I will build a show around that. And I'll put my email address right down here. Send it to hardboiledenglish6@gmail.com, and I'll build the show around that question and provide you the answer. Also, as usual, you can ask your questions here in the chat box, and I'll do my best to answer them right here live. We have a good show tonight. I've got a couple of things I want to get to, as well as a couple of questions. Before we get going, though, I'd like you to say hello and tell me what country you're watching from. It's always great to get a sense of where everyone is. I also want to mention a couple things, guys. We had this show down for a couple of months as I recovered from some knee surgery, and I'm really excited to be back, but I also thought about a lot of things. I want to share with you guys the fact that this show does not earn money. I'm not sponsored. I don't get money from YouTube, but the show does cost money. So if you're feeling generous and you like the show and want to support it, there are a couple of ways you can do that. You can go to buymeacoffee.com. You can actually just scan the code right here. And you can donate however much money you want. It can be $1, it can be $10,000. Doesn't matter. All of it helps. It all goes to cover the production cost of this show. I'll put these up again through the show, but you can scan them, donate today, in the future, whenever you want. And again, there's no pressure. You can donate however much you want. Also, if you're interested, there are now a lot of Grammar Detective products available, including coffee cups, right? English Weirdness coffee cups, Hard-Boiled English coffee cups, Grammar Detective coffee cups, mugs, as they call them. I've also got a series of notebooks. It might be handy for school, or if you're a writer, you want to take some notes. Got all the logos there. I'm trying to keep the prices reasonable so that they're attractive, but also so that there's enough money after the expense to help production costs of the show. So consider that, guys. I do appreciate any and all support. Of course, you can also find me on Patreon if you want to be a regular supporter. Where's that one now? Yeah, up here. You can go to Patreon and be a regular contributor. I've got a few people doing that already, and I really appreciate the help. Okay, so there's that. I'll get back to that later, guys, because I want to get to the heart of the show, which is helping you understand grammar better. So let's say hello to a few folks. We have Miss Language Hack joining us. Great to have you with us. If you didn't see it already, she and I had shared a show in January that's available on the YouTube. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Kira. And hope we can chat again soon. We also have with us, hello from Belgium. Now this person says Facebook user, and that happens because you're watching in a Facebook group. If you're in a Facebook group, I cannot see your name. So please tell me your name. I know you're from Belgium. Maybe you're Chris, I'm not sure. We have Aliyah Siddiq from Pakistan. Welcome to the show. Nice to have you with us. I think you may be a first-time viewer. We have Luza from Colombia. Good evening. Buenas noches. We have a thumbs up from Facebook user. Great. We have Tirath, an English teacher from Nepal. He's actually been a guest on this show. So you get a sense, guys, of where our viewers are. We've got Colombia watching. We've got Nepal watching. We've got Belgium watching. It's one of my favorite parts of this show. Pakistan. Kira is down in the US. So wherever you are watching, guys, it's a pleasure and an honor to have you with us. And yes, Chris. Oh, something wrong on YouTube, Chris. Interesting. Let me check that right now, actually. I want to make sure everyone's able to watch. Did you check on YouTube and were able to see it? Bear with me one moment, guys. I want to make sure our YouTube watchers are able to see the show. We also have with us, hello, Paul, I'm from Argentina. Berta, great. Great to have you with us, Berta. Thank you for joining the show. We'll get to everything in a moment. I just want to check and see if our broadcast is working. Bear with me one moment, folks. Might be a little problem. Is anybody able to see on YouTube? I'm not sure what's happening. Is anybody watching on YouTube? Let me get rid of the logo. Something does seem to be not happening here. Let me see. Okay, so it's streaming on YouTube. I see what's going on. Okay. Allow me one moment, guys. I have to adjust something here. This is always a problem. Sorry for the delay, guys. Yeah, the chat seems to be off. Gosh, I'll have to look into that. Sorry about that, folks. I think I can't do anything about that. Dear. Okay. Oh, maybe I can change something. Oh, yes, here we go. Okay. Okay, in a moment on YouTube, we should be able to have the chat box running. Okay, sorry about the delay, folks. There's always something happening here. Yes, we have Jawad with us. Thank you, Jawad. I think it should be working now. So if any of you are on YouTube, please check for me. And try to make a comment on the live chat. It should be working now or in a moment or two. Well, guys, welcome to the show. On this show, I answer your grammar questions, and I know a lot of people have grammar questions. And tonight I want to do something a little bit fun to get started. I want to have a grammar quiz. Some of you have been watching the show regularly, and hopefully, hello, Pallavi. Pallavi's in India, I believe. Hopefully you've been learning more about how the complex English grammar works. I know it's difficult to learn English grammar because there are rules and patterns, and then there are exceptions, and it can be confusing. That's what this show is for. I want to help you guys understand these little tricky features of English language. Now, over the last 3 years since we've been streaming, we've had a lot of different topics come up. Tonight, I want to do a little grammar quiz with you, and see how you're feeling about certain common grammar errors, okay? So if you're ready to do a little quiz. Oh, Jawad says, could you please make videos on conditional sentence? Actually, I have one for you. Let me get the link. Jawad, I make a series called English Weirdness that explores grammar in depth, and it includes animations and a little story to give you a context for the grammar. So I'm going to put a link in the chat, and this link goes to my video about conditionals. Okay, so you can go to this link right here, and this is my video about conditionals, all 4 conditionals and some tips about how to use them, okay? Okay, great, Chris, thank you. The YouTube chat is working, great. Okay, guys, if you're ready, I'm ready. I'm going to give you a little quiz. I think this will be fun. Now, what I'm going to do is, there's going to be a little bit of a mysterious sentence with a word missing. You'll see a sentence with a word missing. And then you'll have a bunch of choices. I'll hold each sentence up. There are 5 quiz sentences. I'll hold it on screen for a couple of minutes because it takes time to write your answer. I want you to choose the correct answer and write it in the chat box. YouTube, Facebook, wherever you are, okay? Oh, say hello to Andrea. Andrea is my friend and colleague, fellow English coach, instructor, and teacher in Canada. If you guys want to check out her website, joyofelenglish.com, I believe, Andrea. Andrea, if you can, feel free to put your link in the chat thread. Okay, guys, if you're ready. Oh, Pallavi, how about now? I was just told that it's appearing on Facebook, YouTube. Somebody was able to see the comment. Try again now, please, because I just adjusted one of the settings. Okay, so I'm going to get ready for the quiz. Can't do a quiz in a raincoat and a hat. So, got to get ready for the quiz with my quiz mode. Okay. So let's just make sure the YouTube chat is working. Okay, Pallavi, it's working for you too? Great. Great, great, great. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're ready, we're going to start our mysterious quiz. Should only take a few minutes. We'll have time to answer your questions after it. Okay. So if you're ready, here we go. So let me just clear the comments. Hi guys, I shrunk. Okay, here we go. This is our mysterious grammar quiz of the night. So you're going to need the chat box to put your answer in the chat box, okay? Here we go. First mystery sentence. Choose the correct word that goes in that spot and put it in the chat box. And we'll review the answers shortly. Okay, someone says with. Andrea says with. English Friendly says with. Facebook user says with. Chris Derbovin from Belgium, late at night, says with. Joining us also is Chris from Brazil. Welcome, Chris. We're just doing a little grammar quiz. I'm asking everybody, what's the missing word? This is the case of the missing word mystery. So I want everyone to give me an answer. We have a lot of choices of with. That doesn't mean it's correct. It could be everyone's crazy and has the wrong answer. It could be a common mistake. There are some words that commonly get incorrectly substituted for other words. So just because everyone chose with so far doesn't mean it's correct. It could, but it doesn't necessarily mean it. So have confidence in your choice. When everyone has answered, I will present the correct answer. Has everyone chosen? All right then, here we go. Correct answer coming. With. So with is the correct answer. Good. Here's the next one, guys. After I visit Canada next month, I will to Vietnam. What's the correct word? What's the missing word? Yes, YouTube said the chat was set to kids only, which means you're not allowed to have a chat, so I changed that. Sorry about that, guys. So we have Chris says return. Okay, Chris wants to use that word. Facebook user chooses return. Okay. Again, guys, doesn't mean they're all right. Not all trends are good trends. Okay, we have someone suggest go. Okay. Someone says back. Okay, we have some debate here. Good. Again, guys, I want you to trust your feeling, trust your knowledge. It might be correct, it might not, but you should trust what you know. And get feedback and learn. Okay, anyone else want to try? Has everyone got their answers in? Okay, Luza says could be return or visit. Sorry. Doesn't say in any specific place. Okay, good. Luza has given us a kind of rationale, a reasoning for her choice. Berta says return, good. Pallavi says return. English friendly says back. Okay. Okay, I think we have all the answers in. Okay, get ready. Here's the correct answer. Return. So again, we'll review these in a few moments and I can explain why those choices are appropriate. Here's the next mystery sentence. Whenever it rains in my city, I a cold. Whenever it rains in my city, I a cold. And here cold is the illness, not the feeling. I a cold. Okay, what's your choice? Okay, we have a choice in here. Someone's choosing get, okay. Am having, okay, good. Berta says get, okay. Chris Derbovin says get, okay. Get is popular. English friendly says get. Luza says get, okay. Who else? Just gonna adjust my table here, guys. Alia says get, okay, good. Andrea says dread. Oh, Andrea's going off script. Off script means she's improvising. She's creating her own answers. Andrea's joking. Okay. Has everyone given me their answer? Do I have all your answers in? Okay. Here comes the correct answer. Get. Get is the correct answer. I get a cold. Okay, mystery sentence again. Number 4. After school, she walked from the campus, the cinema. After school, she walked from the campus, the cinema. The correct answer will come out from your side. It's just a prediction. Oh, I see. Okay. Okay, Chris is predicting 2. That's her missing word. Facebook user says 2. Luza says 2. English Friendly says 2. Popular answer. Lucia says 2. My eyes are still closed, but I'm listening to you, teacher. Wonderful, wonderful. Any way you can enjoy the show, I'm happy that you do. I think it might be quite late where Pallavi is, so if you're sleeping, I understand it, and I appreciate you joining the show. Alia says 2. Pallavi says 2. Okay, do I have everyone's answer? Okay, the missing word is 2. So if you chose 2, good job. Okay, last mystery sentence, guys. Here we go. Last mystery. Here are the best tips. English. Here are the best tips. English. Okay, Namza is asking me a question. Welcome to the show, Namza. I will talk about this after we do the quiz, okay? Good question. Here are the best tips. English. If you have watched the show recently, we actually covered this topic on the show. So these are all kind of reviewing things we've talked about in the past recently. Okay. We have some answers coming in. Chris Derbovin says, for learning. English Friendly says, study. Facebook user Luza says, for learning. Berta says, for learning. Facebook user is Araceli. Good. Welcome, Araceli. Hope everything's going well for you. For learning. Okay, good. Maybe. Just because I say good doesn't mean it's correct. I'm just saying good that you're answering. Pallavi says for learning. Okay, good. Facebook user says for learning. Interesting. Aliyah says for learning. I see a pattern. Namza says for. Okay, a rebel. Again, just because everyone's choosing one doesn't mean you should. They all might be wrong. It's possible. You should always trust your knowledge until your knowledge is shown to be inaccurate and you learn the correct way. But I want you to trust your feelings. If you've been studying English, you get a lot of English built into your mind and your memory, and it's good to trust what you know. That'll also enable you to speak more fluently, more freely, because you won't stop and doubt yourself all the time. It's really important to trust your first instinct. And if it's wrong, we can talk about it and learn the correct answer. Okay, do I have all your answers? Here is the correct answer to mystery sentence number 5. Here are the best tips for learning English. For learning English. Okay? Great. So a lot of your answers were correct. Let's have a little review. So the first sentence was, the girl played in the park with her dog. The second sentence was, after I visit Canada next month, I will return to Vietnam. Number 3, whenever it rains in my city, I get a cold. Number 4, after school, she walked from the campus to the cinema. Number 5, here are the best tips for learning English. Okay? Now I'd like to just quickly review these and talk about why they're the correct answers. So I'm just going to change the screen here. I'm not sure how it's going to look. I can't seem to make myself larger. Half and half. Okay. How can I shrink that one? I'll tell you what, guys. I'm going to take this off the screen. And I better keep it on for now. Okay. So the first one, the girl played in the park with her dog. So we use the preposition with. First, let me remind you guys, prepositions have one job. Their job is to connect nouns to the rest of the sentence, to other words. Prepositions connect nouns. Now, they connect nouns to other words, but you should remember that the preposition belongs to the noun, right? It tells us the relationship from the relationship of the noun to other things. For example, pens are a noun. Pens have a relationship to this noun, cup, right? What's the relationship? Pen in cup. It tells us the relationship in space, okay? That's what prepositions do. The second thing to know about prepositions is they always come before the noun. Think about the word prepositions. Pre. Pre means before. Before position. Preposition. So they come in the position before the noun. And each preposition carries a little meaning. With means together. Right now, I am with you. We are together on this live stream, right? I am with you. You are with me. We are kind of equally together. So the preposition with connects the dog with the girl. The girl is with her dog. In the park, doesn't really matter. The main idea is the girl is with her dog. They're together, right? She's not on her dog, like riding like a horse. She's not on the dog in space. She's certainly not in the dog. The dog didn't eat her. She's with the dog, kind of equal, okay? Together equally. I am with you. We are equal. We're together. We're sharing a space, okay? So that's why we choose with. She's together with her dog in the park, okay? I think everyone got that one correctly. Correct. Now, the second sentence, after I visit Canada next month, I will return to Vietnam. So there's two phrases here. There's two clauses. The first one tells us when. It's a time clause. After I visit Canada next month, okay, in the future, what will happen? I will, okay, return to Vietnam. Sorry, where are we? Yeah, I will return to Vietnam, okay? Look at that sentence. I will return to Vietnam. I is the subject. Will is a modal used for the future. And modals have to come before a verb. We need a verb. Now, I think our choices were something like visit or back. Visit is possible in the terms of the meaning. Return is like visit. The problem is we had this word, sorry guys, we had this word to Vietnam. Visit does not work with to. Visit works directly with the noun. You visit someplace. Visit Vietnam. Visit Canada. Visit my friend. After the verb visit, let me write this. We need a noun. Okay? So return has a similar meaning to visit, but grammatically they're different. Visit is a transitive verb. It needs an object right after it. It needs a direct object noun. The word back is often confused. I will back to Vietnam. I will back to my country. Problem is, back is not a verb in this sense. It can be used as a verb, like a phrasal verb meaning back up, like a truck or a car. You back up. But in the sense of traveling in return to your country, we can't use back because back is not a verb. You don't back to a country. If you want to use back, you need to say go back. I will go back to my country. Okay, you can do that. You can say, I will go back to my country. I will go back to Vietnam. That's possible. We didn't have that choice. All we had was back. Okay, in that sense, back is an adverb. It's describing where you're going. I will go where? Back. Right? It's an adverb of direction. It's not a verb. So we can only use back with a verb like go, or I will travel back to my country. I will travel back to Vietnam. But we didn't have that choice. So return to Vietnam was our only choice. Now, number 3 is interesting. Look closely at the first part. Whenever it rains in my city. That sounds like it rains often, regularly, always. In other words, it's a routine or it's a habit. And with that meaning, we always use simple present. Every day I eat breakfast. Every day I walk around the house. Every day she goes to work. Okay, so when you have the word whenever, usually you're pointing to a habit or a routine or a general fact. And that means we need simple present in the verb. Our choices, I don't remember what the choices were, but get means to receive or acquire. And a cold is an illness, and it's out there in the world. It's actually a virus. So when you get sick, it's not because you changed, it's because you acquired something. You received a cold. It came to you and it came into you. So the verb get is what we need, okay? And I think most of you got that one correct, I believe. Now, one choice that is often confused with this kind of structure is using present continuous. Whenever it rains in my city, I am having a cold. Let me tell you why that doesn't work. There are 2 reasons. As I said, we have the phrase, whenever it rains in my city. That's a regular occurrence. That's a routine, a habit. It's nature's habit. And it needs simple present. We use simple present to describe routine actions, habits, or general facts, usually scientific facts. This is actually present continuous. Present continuous does not mean general fact, habit, or routine. Present continuous means it's happening right now and it's temporary. Okay, if we look at a timeline, present continuous means it's happening right now. For example, I am standing here. I am streaming to you. Okay? When did I start streaming? Well, the show starts at 5 p.m. in the past. That's when it started. And it will end at 6 p.m. Right? So it has a starting point and an ending point in the future, but it's happening right now. Now, it's only 1 hour long. So this action of am streaming is temporary. So an important thing to remember about present continuous, and some textbooks call it progressive, present progressive, doesn't matter. It means it's happening right now and it's temporary. Two parts of the meaning, right now and temporary. In the case of this sentence, whenever it rains in my city, I get a cold. Well, I can say that right now. Whenever it rains in my city, I get a cold. My city, it rains a lot. But it's not raining right now. Right now, it's sunny. So this statement is a general fact, but it's not true right now. So if I said, I am having a cold, that means you're having a cold right now for a short time. That is not what this sentence is saying. This sentence is saying, in general, but not now, I get a cold. I don't have a cold now, right? So when you talk about general truth, it rains in my city, I get a cold, I eat breakfast, she loves movies, every day he walks his dog. Those are general facts. They may not be happening right now, so do not use present continuous. We shouldn't say every day he is walking his dog, right? That doesn't work. Present continuous means right now and temporary. If it's not happening right now, don't use it. Okay? It's a very common error. We can talk about more about that in the future. Now, number 4 is interesting. Number 4. Okay, number 4. After school, she walked from the campus to the cinema. Now, a lot of people get confused with how to use to. This is the most common way to use it. It has a kind of partner preposition. Again, to is a preposition, right? To the cinema. To plus noun, cinema. To is a preposition of destination, the place you go to. From is a preposition of origin. You move from one place to another place. Now, if everyone knows where you're from, where you came from, you don't need to say it. Like if we're all classmates, you don't need to say, after school she walked from the campus, because everyone knows where she was from, the campus. We're all from the campus. So sometimes you can drop it and say, after school she walked to the cinema. But connecting place of origin, place are nouns, places are nouns. So she walked from the campus, noun, to another noun, the cinema. Okay, it's always from and to. Even if you don't use from, to is the destination. I traveled from Canada to Brazil. I flew my plane from Brazil to Vietnam. Okay, from and to. Now the key is the verb. We use this combination of preposition, from and to, when we move from one place to another. Well, guess what that means? That means you're using a verb of movement. Here we are, walk, right? Walk is an action verb of movement. Go to is an action verb of movement. Fly, run, bicycle, cycle. Any verb that implies movement can be used with from and to. We can also use verbs of change, right? Children change, their bodies grow, so they're kind of moving, right? They start small and they get taller. I was a baby once, believe it or not, and I was tiny, and I changed from a baby to an adult. Verb of change from one state or condition to another, okay? So when you're dealing with a verb of movement, something that's moving or transforming or changing, you need from and to. That is why we have some phrasal verbs like the verb listen. Listen always works with the preposition to. I listened to music. Why? Because the music travels, it moves. It moves from the stereo to my ear. The ear is the destination. Okay? From and to. It's all about the verb. If the verb is an action verb of movement or change, use from or to. Okay. Now the last one's tricky, and we reviewed this recently. I see this on the internet a lot. I see people advertising top tips, and they say to learn English, right? And it's a problem. Let me show you why. They'll say things like, where are we here? 5 best ways to, well, that's not a good example, actually. Best tips to learn English. Do I have room? Yeah. Tips to make money. Things like this. And what they're doing is they're using infinitive verb. The problem is this. Tip, or any other noun, this is a noun. And this is telling us information about what kind of tip it is. So that means this whole thing should be in noun form, not infinitive verb. Because if we expand this sentence, we don't learn English tips, right? We learn English with tips or using tips. So tips to learn English is actually missing something. Tips to learn English with. Because you learn tips, you learn English with tips, with methods, with systems, with books, with classes, with lessons, with live streams. You learn English with them. But if that's missing, we have to change this to a noun form. And for learning is the noun form, right? It's tips for learning. That creates a noun phrase. And that is the thing we are, because this is not a sentence, this is a phrase. We're missing the subject in a verb, which would be something like, here are 5 tips to learn English with. But most people, when they make social media content, they drop the with and they drop the subject and the verb and they just say 5 tips to learn English. That's not grammatical, right? You have to change this whole thing into a noun form. So that's why the answer should be, here are the best tips for learning English. Tips for learning English is one piece, right? It's the whole object. If we say, here are the best tips for learning English, subject is here, the verb is are, and everything after it is the object. Here are best tips for learning English. All of that is the object. And if it's the object, it should be all noun phrase. That's the problem with that. Okay, now guys, thank you for doing the quiz. Good job, well done. Perhaps we'll do this again in the future. In the time we have left, I would like to look at some of your questions. Allow me to just clear the board. And in the meantime, I will remind you of a couple of things. You can send me a video with your grammar question in it. And again, if you want to support the show's production costs, you can make a small donation, $1 to $5 at Buy Me a Coffee, right, or Patreon, or you can buy Grammar Detective products. All of the money earned goes to supporting the costs of doing this show every week. And there are costs. Nothing's free. Certainly not in my country. Okay, I'm going to have a look here at some of the questions I saw. Let me just clear up. Which sentence is correct, and what is the rule for preposition marked here? He lives in Vancouver in Canada. He lives at Vancouver in Canada. Okay, good. So I want you to think about the preposition in. Like I said earlier, preposition connects the noun. So the noun here is Vancouver, which is a city. A city is a little bit like a container, right? Here's a city. What's in a city? Well, people, buildings, cars, businesses, animals, trees, a lot of things are in a city. So think of a city as a container, okay? So we have trees, people, we have dogs, we have offices, and these are all in the city, okay? We use the preposition in to connect something like a container, something that can fit other things, right? For example, this mouse pad, I can't put anything in it, right? It's not a container. I can't try to put this in it. It won't hold. I can put this on it because it's a flat surface. So clearly, this is a container, right? We can put stuff in it. A city is metaphorically a container. There are things that can be in it, though. People, trees, dogs, buildings, businesses, okay? Canada is a country. Is a country a container? Yeah, right? It's a bigger container that might contain other cities. Okay? So the preposition in Vancouver is correct. The preposition in Canada is correct. Now, it might look strange because it repeats the in, but so what? Sometimes you have to repeat prepositions. Sometimes we need them, so they repeat. Okay? So I do not live at Vancouver. I live in Vancouver. Here's me, right? I live, where's the little Paul? Here's little Paul, right? Little Paul lives in Vancouver. Vancouver is like the container. I live in it. I live in a house, in an apartment, in my city, Vancouver. And I'm also in Canada. Okay? Now, if you're flying to an airport, in an airport, you can travel to many, many cities, many containers around the world. So when you're flying in the sky, you're not in a city. So you often see people when they arrive to the airport, they'll say, you are now arriving at Vancouver. We use at to connect a general location when you have many, many choices. But it doesn't tell us that you're inside the container, okay? So hopefully that clarifies that for you, Namza. Let's see this one. He has 4 sons and daughters. This sentence is interesting, Pallavi. It's a little ambiguous. Ambiguous means there's kind of 2 possible meanings. And that's because it's not really a complete grammatical sentence. There's some information missing. Let me just clean that up. He has 4 sons and daughters. Oh. Okay, he has 4 sons and daughters. Now, this number 4 is in front of sons. Does that mean, I wonder, does that mean there are 4 of all of those children? Sons and daughters are 2 types of children. So, does he have 4 children? Or does he have 4 sons and 4 daughters? It's not clear. If he has 4 sons and 4 daughters, meaning 8 children, you should say 4 sons and 4 daughters. Make it clear. Just the same as if you said 4 sons and 2 daughters, meaning 6 children. You need the 2 numbers. Otherwise, it creates ambiguity. It creates this idea that does he have 4 sons and some daughters? Does he have 4 children altogether? It's not clear. If he has 4 children, Guess what? That's what you should say. He has 4 children. Okay? If that's the idea, that is what you should say, and that's how you should say it. By the way, in terms of numbers, when you write, if you're writing, whether you're handwriting or typing, any number less than 100, spell it. He has 4 children. Okay? If you have numbers like 4, 1 to 10, 12, 13, 50, 52, you should spell it out. You shouldn't use the numeral in writing. Doesn't matter when you speak. So if he has 4 children total, you should say he has 4 children, not he has 4 sons and daughters, because it's unclear how many sons, how many daughters. Okay? With communication, we're always trying to be specific and precise, right? So let's clear the board. Let's have another question. Okay, Andrea is asking a good question. My students often say, I study in downtown. Okay, this is a very common problem. And I've actually made a video all about this, then I'll put the link to it right here. Let me just find the link. Okay, this is a good question. It's one that comes up a lot. Let me write this sentence. I study in downtown. I study in downtown. Right? So what is the problem? If you ask me, I would tell you this is not grammatically correct, and here's why. We have a subject, we have a verb, we have a preposition, and now you guys are experts on preposition. You know what prepositions do. They connect nouns to the rest of a sentence. Remember, to the cinema, with the dog. Okay? And the part of the preposition, preposition, the meaning of the prefix pre is before. So they go before the noun, right? So far, so good. Problem is, that's not a noun. That is an adverb or an adjective. Okay? It's not a place. It's not a place. So there are 2 possibilities here. If you have a preposition, you have to have a noun after it, but this isn't a noun. On the other hand, Vancouver, this is where I live and where teacher Andrea lives, that is a noun, right? And the preposition can be in front of the noun. That's fine. And between the preposition and the noun, you can put adjectives, right? And adjectives describe the noun. I study in downtown Vancouver. So now the adjective downtown is telling us about Vancouver. It's modifying the word Vancouver. It's telling us where in Vancouver, because Vancouver is a pretty big city. Okay, so this is fine. I study in downtown Vancouver. I study in downtown Bangkok. I study in downtown Sao Paulo. Okay, whatever. If you put the name of the city here, you can have the preposition because you have an adjective and a noun. Okay. Now, Andrea and I live in Vancouver. And if we work with students in Vancouver and we say, where do you live? Well, we all live in Vancouver. So maybe we don't want to say that noun because if we can cut a word away, it's convenient and efficient. So let's say we all live in Vancouver. So we know we live in Vancouver, but what we're asking is what part of Vancouver? Okay. So we want to drop that. Well, if we drop the noun, can't have an adjective because an adjective's job is to modify the noun. So if we drop the noun, we can't really have this adjective. We certainly can't have the preposition, right? Because preposition comes before a noun. We don't have a noun now. What happens in this case is this changes its grammatical function. Before, it was an adjective modifying a noun. If there's no noun, this is called semantic shift. It changes its meaning. Now it's not an adjective. It becomes an adverb. It wants to modify something, but there's no noun, so now it wants to modify the verb. I study. Where? Downtown. That is an adverb telling us where you study. Adverbs answer questions about verbs. If I just said, I study, you can ask questions like, oh, really? Where? The answer is an adverb. I study downtown, right? It could be a prepositional phrase like in Vancouver. If I say I study, you might also say when. Well, I can say every day. That's an adverb of time. Or I can say at night, right? If I say I study, you could ask why. I can give you a whole clause that really functions as an adverb. I study because I want to improve. That whole thing becomes an adverb of reason. But here, it's modifying study and it's telling us where downtown. But it's an adverb, not a noun. Therefore, we can't have a preposition. Can't. Why? Prepositions connect nouns. This is now an adverb. So we have to say, I study. Where, Paul? Downtown. Not in downtown, downtown. Now it's an adverb. Okay? It's an adverb of direction, of place. Now you might say, come on, Paul. Come on. I can stand in downtown. It's a place. And I'll say, okay, where? What if I take a bus to the corner of Granville Street and Georgia Street? That's downtown, right? Teacher, that's downtown. And I'll say, yeah, but what city are you in? Well, Granville in Georgia, that's in Vancouver. Yeah, Vancouver is the place. Downtown is the area where you do something in that place. It's an adverb of direction. You can even find that out. You can even find other adverbs like that. If I make a sentence like, I'm walking. Well, what questions can you ask? I'm walking. Where? Well, you might say, I'm walking downtown. You could say that. You might also say, I'm walking north. Now, north becomes an adverb of direction. You might say, I'm walking when? Now. That's an adverb of time, telling us when you're doing the action. It's modifying the action. It's answering questions about the action. You might say, why? Because I want exercise. Now that's a clause. You have a subject and a verb, but the whole thing is a clause acting as an adverb telling us about why you do this action, right? You might say, you're walking, how? Quickly. And that's a classic adverb of manner. How you do something, in what way, okay? I'm going to put the link to the video that does a much better explanation of that than I just did, a much more thorough explanation. It's also part of my series English Weirdness, so please check that out. Okay, we are getting close to the end, guys, so I'm going to quickly answer this. If I don't answer your question this evening, I will record it and answer it next week, I assure you, okay? So I'm going to clear this up. I'm going to answer Pallavi's question because Pallavi is asking a question about our quiz. Okay. Pallavi is asking, what's the difference between back and return? Okay. The difference is quite simple. Return is a verb. Back is an adverb. Let's test that. Okay, somebody phones me. Maybe it's my wife. Paul, where are you? Oh, I'm walking. Where? I'm walking back. I left home, went to the store, and while I'm out, my wife calls me and says, where are you? I'm walking back. She knows I'm walking back home. I don't have to say home because she's at home, and I left home to shop, and now I'm walking back, so she knows I'm coming back home. Okay, so what do we have here? We have a subject. We have present continuous verb. This whole thing is our verb. Okay. Back is not a verb. This is the verb. This is telling us what direction. Okay. Now, just like downtown, if we have a noun here, home can be a noun. It can also be an adverb of direction, believe it or not. But we're not saying that. So if we don't have that, if I'm not saying back to our apartment, if I'm just saying I'm walking back, well, this can't be a verb because we have this as our verb. So what is this? This is answering the question, what direction? I'm walking. You know, my wife calls, where the heck are you? I'm walking. Where? Back. This is telling us about the action. Anything that tells us about the action is an adverb. And it's not an adverb of time, it's an adverb of direction. Okay, it's telling us what direction you're walking. Okay. Now, the question we had in the quiz was, I will blank to Vietnam, right? After I visit Canada next month in the future, I will to Vietnam. Now, a lot of people will say, I will back to Vietnam. But what do we have here? We have a subject, we have a modal will, and we need a verb here. And then this is our prepositional phrase and our destination, right? That's a noun, and that's a preposition. So we need a verb after will, because will's not a verb. Will's a modal that works with a verb. The problem is back is not a verb. It's not. As I showed you here, it's an adverb. So we need a verb here. Now, back is an adverb of direction with this meaning. So here we're going to use return. So the meaning is similar, right? You're walking back to the place where you started. Let's say this Vietnamese student came to Canada and they're traveling back where they started, okay? If you need a verb, you have to use return, okay? If you really want to use back, you need a verb. So we could put a verb here. We could say, I will go back. I will travel back. I will fly back, right? I will, whatever. This is not the verb though. This is the verb. This is the adverb describing the action. Okay, so you can use back, but it has to come with a verb because back is not a verb. That's really what the difference is. The meaning can be similar. The meaning could even be the same, but the grammatical function is different. Return is a verb. Back is an adverb. Now, there's another meaning of back that could be used as a verb, which is to move something in the reverse direction, like back up the truck. But that's when we use the phrasal expression back up. You start the truck forward, but then you will back up the truck or back up the car. That's different than when you travel back or return to a place, okay? Before we wrap up, guys, I want to say hello to Eunice, right? Hello, Eunice. Thank you for joining us. So Eunice is asking, can we say downtown in the city. I live downtown in the city. That's fine because downtown is talking about, is modifying the verb. I live downtown in the city. That's fine. On the spot is with us. Great. I study in Toronto. I study downtown near Waterfront Station. That's fine. In this example, downtown is describing where you do this action. Near Waterfront Station is extra information. Good. Oh, it's very nice, Pallavi. Thank you. Thank you very much. It's my pleasure, guys. So we're going to wrap up in a moment, but I just want to say thank you to a few folks. Kira Sage is saying, oh, you're still, yes, thank you for joining us. Wonderful to have you with us. Just as we wrap up, though, I'm sorry I didn't get to your comment earlier. Tenses, yes. I studied English 2 years back. I hear many people from India use this. Where does this come from? 2 years back? It's another way of saying 2 years ago, I suppose. 2 years back from now. But here, back is still an adverb modifying studied, right? Yeah, 2 years back. Yeah, that's a common expression. It still fits our paradigm. It still fits our structure here. I think more accurate English would be 2 years ago. Predicate, yeah, predicate, great. I'll answer this question, Kira, and then I'll wrap the show for the day. Because, as some of you know, I recently had a major knee surgery. So I'm able to stand up and walk now after 2 months of recovery. However, after I stand up for an hour, it hurts. So I'm going to need to rest pretty soon. And I don't mind doing 2-hour shows sometimes, but I have to be careful at the moment with my legs. Okay, this is a good question. Predicate. You might hear this word in English classes, in grammar books, and the answer is maybe simpler than it looks. We know that every sentence needs a subject. Sorry, I'll make it red. Subject and a verb, right? Otherwise, there's no meaning. Okay. Otherwise, it's not a clause or a sentence. It's a phrase. So something like in the park, there's no verb. There's no subject. It's just telling us where something. So in order to create meaning, we need a subject and a verb. Actually, what we need is a subject and a predicate. Now, why do we call it a predicate? Well, it could be a single verb, right? We could say, I jog. That's a complete idea. It's short, but it's a complete idea. Therefore, it's a sentence. It's a clause. I jog. This verb doesn't need an object. It can stop right here, right? Because this verb doesn't affect an object, it affects the subject. So this is the predicate, but it's also just one verb. So we can say subject and a verb. Why do we need predicate? Simple, because sometimes the verb is not just one word, right? I am jogging. Well, we can't really call this the verb because there's two verb forms here. There's two parts. So we call that the predicate. We give it a different name because verb is one word, right? Here we have one word. Here we have two words. Both of them are verb forms combined to form the predicate. So that's the predicate. That's the predicate. Sometimes we have three words. I have been jogging, right? Now the verb idea is 3 parts. So we can't just call that the verb because it's not just one word. It's not just one verb. It's 3 parts. That's why we need the name predicate. Okay? We can even sometimes have 4 parts. I will have been jogging. Now our verb is actually made up of 4 parts. The whole verb idea is 4 parts. That's why we can't just call that, hey, that's the verb. Which word? That? That's a verb. That's a verb. That's a verb form. And that's a modal verb. So we can't just call that the verb. That's why we need another word called the predicate. So the predicate is all of these it's all the verb parts, right? That's why we call it the predicate, not the verb. Colloquially, we call it the verb, subject and a verb. But a verb can have more than one part. So the word predicate covers all of it. It includes all of those 4 parts. This is the predicate. It's the action idea, okay? To make an action idea, sometimes you just need 1 verb. Sometimes you need 2. Sometimes you need 3. Sometimes you need 4, okay? That's why they call it the predicate. Okay, lovely. Thank you very much. Okay, I'm going to have to wrap up, guys. Some great comments here. I walk every day. I walk the dog every day. Eunice, this is good. This is a great question. This is related to verb transitivity. And of course, I have a video about verb transitivity. So I'm going to put the link in the box down below. And I want you to study this. There are 2 videos, part 1 and 2. I think they're entertaining, but the explanation is detailed. And it will help you get ready for next week, Jonas, when we talk about this question in particular, okay? So please check out this video. It'll teach you about verb transitivity, which is why these 2 sentences are both correct and both different, okay? It's related to the verb walk. Walk can be transitive, it can be intransitive. So you need to study what those are, okay? So in the comment thread, I just put a link to a video from my English Weirdness series. We have another question. Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. Yeah. Jonas, this is all about transitivity. Guys, verb transitivity affects so much in a sentence. It affects the verb. It also affects the subject. It also affects what comes after the verb. Verb transitivity is one of the most important features of English grammar, and it's one of the least understood. So I've created a double episode that I put in the link there. So please check that out. It's a complicated idea, but it's incredibly important in English. Native speakers understand it naturally, but learners need to understand it by studying it and appreciating the differences. Okay, I'm going to have to go, guys, because I'm about to collapse. Pallavi, you're most welcome. Thank you very much for joining me. Oh, very sweet. Guys, I really appreciate you joining me tonight. We had a good turnout. We had 10 people watching for most of it. It's wonderful to be back teaching you guys and helping you understand the mysteries of English live every week. Last week I asked you what's the best time, and a lot of people suggested Saturday afternoon. That's not going to be practical for me. So for now, I'm going to stick with my Friday evening, which I believe in Asia and the Middle East is Saturday morning. That's the best I can do. The rest of the week, if I put it earlier, it's going to interfere with my work teaching students privately, and I can't do that. So I'm going to stick with Friday evenings for now at this hour. So it shouldn't change too much over the coming weeks, okay? It's great to be back with you guys. And I've really enjoyed this evening. We had a nice little quiz. If you enjoyed that, we can do that again next week. Missing. Very mysterious. Ana Carolina's with us. Hi, Ana Carolina from Brazil. Goodbye, everyone. Jonas, thank you. And don't forget to study verb transitivity. Very important. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very, very much for joining me tonight. Okay, really appreciate you participating. Doing a quiz, that can be scary, but you're not going to pass or fail in this live stream. So that's the good news. I'll see you next Friday, guys. And until I do see you, I want you to take care of your health. I want you to keep learning. And until I see you again next time, as always, please, please stay cool. Thanks for watching tonight's show. If you have an English grammar question, an English mystery, contact me on social media and send me a video of you asking the question. I'll investigate it on a future show. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel and hit the bell button to get all the updates about videos and events. If you're feeling generous, you can also donate to the production costs of the show at Patreon or Buy Me a Coffee. Finally, until the next time I see you on Hardboiled English Live, I want you to keep learning English. Stay healthy and stay cool.